Hey beautiful Taurus souls, welcome back to my channel. I have to tell you, when I sat down to do this reading for you today, the energy that came through was so intense and specific that I actually had to take a moment to ground myself. There's someone in your orbit right now who is dealing with some really heavy emotions around you, and the cards are showing me exactly what's going on in their inner world. Before I dive into what I'm seeing, I want you to know that this reading is coming from a place of love and understanding. Sometimes we need to see the full picture to understand the dynamics at play in our relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional. What I'm about to share with you isn't meant to make you feel guilty or responsible for someone else's emotions, but rather to give you clarity on a situation that might be affecting your peace of mind. I shuffled the deck 3 times, asking Spirit to show me the truth about this person's feelings toward you and what you need to know moving forward. The cards that came through tell such a clear story that honestly, it gave me chills. So let's dive right in. The first card I pulled for you is Judgment. And wow, Taurus, this card is telling me that there's been some kind of major revelation or awakening around this situation. This person I'm picking up on has been forced to confront some uncomfortable truths about themselves and their feelings toward you. Judgment is all about that moment when the veil lifts and we see things as they really are, not as we wished they were or pretended they were. What I'm getting is that this person has been living in some kind of denial about their true feelings. Maybe they convinced themselves they were over you or that they didn't care about what you were doing with your life. But something happened recently that shattered that illusion. It could have been seeing you succeed in ways they haven't, watching you move on and thrive, or even just hearing about your happiness through mutual connections. Whatever it was, it hit them like a lightning bolt of truth. The Judgment card is showing me that this person is in a phase of reckoning. They're being forced to look at their own behavior, their own choices, and the role they played in whatever happened between you two. But here's what's interesting, Taurus. While Judgment usually represents spiritual growth and positive transformation, the energy I'm feeling around this card is heavy with resistance. This person is fighting the very awakening that could set them free. I'm seeing someone who keeps replaying conversations in their head, analyzing every interaction they had with you, wondering if things could have been different. They're in this space where they know they need to face the truth, but they're terrified of what that truth might mean for their ego, for their sense of self, for the story they've been telling themselves about who they are and what they deserve. The beautiful thing about Judgment, though, is that it always leads to liberation when we stop resisting it. This person is at a crossroads where they could choose healing and growth, but right now they're choosing to stay stuck in their pain. And that's not on you, Taurus. That's their journey to figure out. What's really striking me about this Judgment energy is how it's manifesting in their daily life. I'm getting that this person wakes up every morning with you on their mind. Not in a loving, caring way, but in this obsessive, can't-let-go way that's actually making them sick. They're judging everything they do through the lens of how it compares to what you're doing. If they accomplish something, instead of feeling proud, they immediately wonder if you've accomplished something bigger. If they're having a good day, they find themselves wondering if you're having a better one. This Judgment energy is also showing up in how they talk about you to others. I'm seeing someone who can't mention your name without their voice changing, without their energy shifting. They try to sound casual, like they're completely over whatever happened between you. But everyone around them can feel the weight of unresolved emotion in their words. The Judgment card is also telling me that this person is being called to a higher level of consciousness around this situation, but they keep choosing the low road instead. Instead of using this experience as an opportunity to grow, to heal old wounds, to become a better person, they're using it as evidence for why life is unfair, why they can't catch a break, why everyone else gets the good things they deserve. Moving on to the second card, and this one made me literally gasp when it came out. 10 of Swords. Oh, honey, this person is feeling absolutely defeated. The 10 of Swords represents that moment when someone feels like they've hit rock bottom, when they feel betrayed, when they feel like everything they thought they knew has been turned upside down. This card is showing me someone who feels like they've been stabbed in the back. But here's the thing that's really coming through strongly. This person is the one who caused most of their own wounds. They're looking at your life, at your success, at your happiness, and they're interpreting it as a personal attack on them. In their mind, your thriving somehow equals their failure. Your peace somehow means they're not worthy of the same. The Ten of Swords often appears when someone has reached the end of a particular mindset or way of being. This person is at the absolute lowest point of their current thought patterns about you and about themselves. They've exhausted themselves with jealousy, with resentment, with trying to figure out how to bring you down to their level instead of lifting themselves up. What's really sad about what I'm seeing is that this person is experiencing what I call comparison paralysis. Every time they see evidence of your growth, your success, your contentment, it triggers this deep wound in them that says they're not enough. Instead of using your example as inspiration, they're using it as evidence of their own inadequacy. But Ten of Swords also carries a message of hope, even though it doesn't feel like it. This card represents the darkest moment before dawn. This person is being forced to confront the reality that their current approach to life, their current mindset, their current way of relating to you and to their own worth simply isn't working anymore. They can't go any lower, which means the only direction left is up. The Ten of Swords energy I'm feeling around this person is so heavy, Taurus. It's like they're carrying the weight of every disappointment, every failed relationship, every missed opportunity, and they're blaming all of it on you somehow. In their mind, if they had been able to keep you in their life, if things had worked out differently between you two, then everything else would have fallen into place too. This is such a dangerous place to live mentally because it gives all your power away to external circumstances and other people. This person has made you responsible for their happiness in a way that's completely unfair to both of you. They've created this fantasy where having you in their life would solve all their problems. And now that that's not available to them, they feel completely hopeless. I'm also getting that this Ten of Swords energy is manifesting as physical exhaustion in this person's life. The mental and emotional drain of carrying around all this resentment and jealousy and pain is literally making them tired all the time. They might be having trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating at work, trouble enjoying things that used to bring them pleasure. The third card that came through is the Moon, and this explains so much about what's happening in this person's psyche right now. The Moon is all about illusion, confusion, and facing the shadow parts of ourselves that we'd rather keep hidden. This person is living in a world of distorted perceptions when it comes to you and the situation between you. The Moon is showing me that this person's judgment is clouded by their emotions. They're not seeing you clearly. They're seeing you through the filter of their own pain, their own insecurities, their own fears. In their mind, you've become this larger-than-life figure who somehow holds all the power over their happiness, and that's a really dangerous place for anyone to live mentally. What's coming through really strongly is that this person is dealing with a lot of projection. They're taking their own feelings of inadequacy, their own disappointments in themselves, their own failures to create the life they want, and they're projecting all of that onto you. In their distorted reality, you're the reason they can't move forward. You're the obstacle to their happiness. You're the villain in their story. The Moon also represents secrets and hidden motives. This person might be putting on a brave face publicly, acting like they're fine, like they've moved on, like you don't affect them at all. But privately, they're consumed with thoughts of you. They might be checking your social media obsessively, asking mutual friends about you, or finding ways to insert themselves into spaces where they might hear news about your life. There's also this element with the Moon of nighttime fears and anxiety. I'm getting that this person literally loses sleep over you. They lie awake at night running scenarios in their head, imagining confrontations, rehearsing things they wish they could say to you, building up this whole narrative about how wrong you've been and how justified their feelings are. But the Moon is also about intuition and the subconscious mind trying to communicate important truths. Deep down, beneath all the confusion and projection and distorted thinking, this person's soul knows that their focus on you is keeping them trapped. Their higher self is trying to guide them toward healing, but they're so caught up in the drama and the story they've created that they can't hear that gentle inner voice. The moon energy around this person is also showing me that they're living in a lot of fear. They're afraid that you're happier without them. They're afraid that you never really cared about them the way they cared about you. They're afraid that they'll never find another connection like the one they had with you, or thought they had with you. They're afraid that they're fundamentally unlovable, and your absence from their life feels like confirmation of their deepest fears about themselves. This person is also dealing with a lot of confusion about what actually happened between you. The moon can represent false memories or distorted recollections, and I think this person has convinced themselves of certain things about your relationship or your connection that might not have been entirely accurate to begin with. They're holding on to a version of events that serves their narrative of being wronged or abandoned, even if that version doesn't match reality. The fourth card is the Magician, and this one is really interesting in this context. The Magician represents someone who has all the tools they need to create the reality they want, but the energy I'm getting around this card feels manipulative and misdirected. This person knows they have power. They know they have talents and abilities, but instead of using that power to build something beautiful in their own life, they're obsessed with using it to somehow affect or influence your life. It's like they're a skilled craftsperson who's spending all their time trying to tear down someone else's creation instead of building their own masterpiece. The Magician can sometimes represent someone who's trying to use spiritual or psychological manipulation to get their way. This person might be doing things like sending you mixed signals, trying to make you feel sorry for them, or even attempting some kind of manifestation work focused on bringing you back into their life or disrupting your peace. What's really coming through is that this person believes they can think their way out of their feelings or manipulate circumstances to make themselves feel better about the situation. They're treating this whole dynamic like a chess game where they think if they just make the right moves, say the right things, or create the right circumstances, they can somehow win you back or get revenge or prove their worth. But the Magician in this position is showing me that all their scheming and planning and trying to control the situation is actually making their pain worse. They're so focused on external manipulation that they're completely ignoring the internal work they need to do. They have all the tools for self-transformation right at their fingertips, but they'd rather use those tools to try to change you or change the circumstances. The Magician energy I'm picking up around this person also has this quality of someone who's very clever with words, very good at presenting themselves in a certain light, very skilled at getting sympathy from others. They might be telling their version of your story to mutual friends in a way that makes them look like the victim, and you look like the heartless villain who crushed their dreams. This person has the ability to manifest amazing things in their own life, but they're wasting that manifestation energy on trying to manifest outcomes that involve you. They're putting all their creative power, all their focused intention, all their magical thinking into scenarios where you come back, where you realize you made a mistake, where you beg for their forgiveness. Meanwhile, their actual life, the life they're living right now, is falling apart because they're not putting any real energy into improving it. The fifth card is Two of Wands, and this is where I start to see the deeper psychology of what's happening. Two of Wands represents someone who's standing at a crossroads, looking out at the horizon, trying to decide which path to take. But the energy around this card feels stuck, like this person has been standing at the same crossroads for way too long. This person is constantly planning and plotting about their future, but every plan somehow revolves around you. They can't envision a future for themselves that doesn't include either winning you back, getting revenge against you, or somehow proving that they're better than you. It's like they're holding two different maps for their life, and both maps have your location circled in red. Two of Wands is about personal power and making decisions about your life direction, but this person has given away all their power to you without even realizing it. They've made you the center of their universe in the most unhealthy way possible. Every choice they consider is filtered through how it might affect you, how you might react, or how it might make them look in comparison to you. What I'm seeing is someone who spends hours daydreaming about different scenarios. Maybe they imagine becoming wildly successful just to show you what you lost. Maybe they fantasize about you coming back and apologizing. Maybe they dream up elaborate scenarios where they save the day and prove their worth. But all of these fantasies are just keeping them stuck in this weird limbo where they're not actually taking action to improve their own life. The Two of Wands is also about partnership and collaboration. And I think this person is struggling with the reality that the partnership they wanted with you isn't available to them. They're looking out at their options, but they keep comparing every possibility to what they thought they could have had with you, and nothing measures up to their idealized version of that relationship. This card is really showing me someone who has so much potential, so many possibilities available to them, but they're paralyzed by their obsession with you. They're standing at this crossroads with multiple paths stretching out before them, and instead of choosing one and walking forward, they're just standing there staring back at the path that led them to you, wishing they could rewind time and make different choices. The Two of Wands energy around this person feels like someone who's constantly second-guessing themselves. They start to make plans for their future. They get excited about new opportunities, but then something reminds them of you and they spiral back into that place of hurt and comparison. They can't commit to moving forward because part of them is still hoping that somehow you'll come back and they won't have to figure out how to build a life without you in it. I'm also getting that this person is dealing with a lot of indecision about whether they should try to contact you or not. The Two of Wands represents that moment of standing on the precipice, knowing that whatever decision you make next is going to change everything. This person keeps picking up their phone to text you, then putting it down. They write long emails explaining their feelings, then delete them. They rehearse what they would say if they called you, but they never actually make the call. The sixth card is Eight of Wands, and this is showing me the frantic, chaotic energy that's driving this person right now. Eight of Wands is all about speed, urgency, and rapid movement, but in this context, it feels scattered and directionless. This person's mind is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour when it comes to thoughts about you. They're constantly having new realizations, new theories about what happened between you, new plans for how to handle the situation, new waves of anger or sadness or hope. It's like their mental and emotional state around you is in constant motion, never settling into any kind of peace or acceptance. Eight of Wands can represent communication, and I'm getting that this person has drafted so many messages to you that they never sent. They probably have whole conversations with you in their head, rehearsing what they would say if they had the chance. They might even have actually sent some impulsive messages that they regretted immediately afterward. The rapid energy of this card is also showing me that this person's emotions about you change quickly and unpredictably. One moment they're furious with you, the next they're missing you desperately, then they're feeling sorry for themselves, then they're plotting some kind of comeback. It's exhausting just to feel into this energy, so I can only imagine how drained this person must be living with it constantly. Eight of Wands can also represent things coming to a head quickly, and I feel like this person's internal pressure is building to a point where something has to give. They can't maintain this level of emotional intensity forever. Either they're going to have some kind of breakthrough that allows them to finally let go and focus on their own life, or they're going to do something impulsive that they'll regret. The Eight of Wands energy around this person feels like someone who's constantly in crisis mode about the situation with you. Every day feels urgent. Every emotion feels like an emergency that needs to be addressed immediately. They can't just sit with their feelings and let them pass naturally. They feel compelled to act on every impulse, to chase every thought down its rabbit hole, to treat every memory like breaking news that requires immediate attention. This person is also dealing with a lot of racing thoughts that they can't seem to slow down or control. They might be having trouble concentrating at work because their mind keeps jumping back to you. They start one task, then something reminds them of you, and suddenly they're lost in a whirlwind of memories and emotions, and they've completely forgotten what they were supposed to be doing. I'm getting that This Eight of Wands energy is making this person feel like they're losing their mind sometimes. The speed at which their thoughts and emotions change makes it hard for them to get their bearings, to know what they actually feel versus what they think they should feel. They're living in this constant state of emotional whiplash that's honestly really unhealthy. The seventh card is the Chariot. And this is interesting because the Chariot usually represents someone who has control over their direction and their emotions. But in this context, it feels like this person is trying to force control in all the wrong ways. The Chariot is showing me someone who's determined to win this situation, whatever that means to them. They see whatever happened between you two as a battle that they lost, and they're convinced that if they just try hard enough, if they just have enough willpower, if they just refuse to give up, they can somehow turn the tide in their favor. This person has this warrior energy about them when it comes to you, but it's misdirected warrior energy. Instead of fighting for their own healing, their own growth, their own happiness, they're fighting to prove that they were right, that you were wrong, that they deserve another chance, that you owe them something. The Chariot can represent someone who's very driven and ambitious, and I think this person is channeling all of that drive toward you instead of toward their own life goals. They're putting the same energy into trying to win you back or get revenge that they should be putting into building their career, improving their health, developing their talents, creating the life they actually want. But the Chariot can also represent inner conflict, and that's definitely what I'm seeing here. This person is being pulled in two different directions at the same time. Part of them knows they need to let go and move on, but another part of them is absolutely refusing to surrender. They're like someone trying to drive a chariot with two horses running in opposite directions. They're not getting anywhere. They're just wearing themselves out. The Chariot energy around this person also feels like someone who's trying to maintain a facade of strength and control while internally falling apart. They might be presenting themselves to the world as someone who's handling this situation well, who's moving on, who's focused on other things, but underneath that controlled exterior, they're barely holding it together. This card is also showing me that this person believes that if they just have enough determination, enough persistence, enough refusal to accept defeat, they can somehow force a different outcome to this situation. They don't understand that some things in life aren't about willpower or strategy or fighting harder. Sometimes acceptance and surrender are actually the most powerful choices we can make. The eighth card is Ace of Cups, and this one really tugs at my heart because it shows me that underneath all the jealousy and hurt and drama, this person genuinely loved you. The Ace of Cups represents pure, unconditional love, the kind of love that comes from the soul level. But what I'm seeing is that this pure love got corrupted by ego, by fear, by insecurity, by all the human stuff that can turn beautiful feelings into something painful and possessive. This person started with genuine love for you, but they didn't know how to love in a healthy way that honored both your autonomy and their own worth. The Ace of Cups in this position is showing me that this person is grieving not just the loss of you, but the loss of the pure love they felt before it got all tangled up in neediness and control and jealousy. They remember what it felt like to love you simply and freely, and they're mourning the fact that they can't get back to that innocent place. This card is also about new emotional beginnings, and I feel like this person's soul is calling them toward healing. The Ace of Cups is trying to remind them that they're capable of love, that they deserve love, that there's still beauty and connection available to them in this world. But they have to be willing to let go of the distorted version of love they've been clinging to. What's really beautiful about this card is that it suggests this person's capacity for love isn't broken, it's just misdirected. If they could find the courage to turn that loving energy toward themselves, toward their own healing and growth, toward creating a life that makes them genuinely happy, they could transform this whole situation. The Ace of Cups is also telling me that this person's heart is actually quite pure underneath all the pain and dysfunction they're expressing. They're not a bad person, they're not evil or malicious, they're just wounded and confused, and they don't know how to process these intense emotions in a healthy way. This card is showing me that this person's love for you was real, even if the way they expressed it wasn't always healthy. They're not making up their feelings or exaggerating their connection to you. They genuinely felt something deep and meaningful, and that's part of what makes it so hard for them to let go. But the Ace of Cups is also a card of emotional purity and new beginnings, and I think this person is being called to return to that pure place of love. Not love for you specifically, but love as a general life force. Love as a way of being in the world. They need to remember what it feels like to love without agenda, to care without attachment, to open their heart without trying to control what flows back to them. Now, I need to pull 2 more cards to complete this 10-card reading because I feel like there's still more the universe wants to share about this situation. The 9th card I'm drawing is 3 of Swords, and this explains so much about the core of what this person is experiencing. 3 of Swords is the classic heartbreak card, representing deep emotional pain, sorrow, and grief. This person is genuinely heartbroken, Taurus, and their heartbreak is coloring everything else they feel and do regarding you. But here's what's important to understand about the 3 of Swords. It's not just about the pain of loss, it's about the pain of holding on to something that's already gone. This person is keeping their heartbreak alive by refusing to let go, by constantly picking at the wound, by telling and retelling the story of what happened between you in a way that keeps them stuck in victim mode. 3 of Swords can also represent betrayal, and I think this person feels deeply betrayed by you, even if that betrayal exists more in their perception than in reality. They might feel betrayed by your ability to move on, by your happiness, by the fact that you're not suffering the way they are. In their mind, if you truly cared about them, you would be just as devastated as they are. This card is showing me someone who's actually addicted to their own pain in some ways. They've become so identified with being the wounded party, the one who was wronged, the one who loved more, that they don't know who they would be without that identity. Their heartbreak has become their whole personality, and the thought of healing feels like losing themselves entirely. The 3 of Swords energy around this person is also showing me that they're replaying painful memories over and over again, like a song stuck on repeat. They can't stop thinking about the moment they realized you were pulling away, or the last conversation you had, or the way you looked at them when things were ending. These memories are like knives that they keep stabbing themselves with, but they can't seem to put the weapons down. This person is also dealing with a lot of regret and what-if thinking. What if they had said this instead of that? What if they had been more understanding, more patient, more whatever they think they should have been? What if they had fought harder for the relationship, or alternatively, what if they had given you more space? The 3 of Swords represents that torturous mental loop of analyzing every choice, every word, every action, looking for the moment where everything went wrong. But here's what this card is really trying to tell this person. Heartbreak is meant to be a teacher, not a permanent residence. The 3 of Swords appears in our lives to crack our hearts open, so that more love can flow in, not to keep us stuck in perpetual suffering. This person is meant to grieve, to feel the full weight of their loss, and then to let that grief transform them into someone wiser and more compassionate. The final card, the 10th card in this reading, is 5 of Pentacles, and this gives me such clarity about what this whole situation is really about for this person. 5 of Pentacles represents feeling left out in the cold, feeling like everyone else has what you want, and you're the only one struggling. This person doesn't just feel rejected by you specifically, they feel rejected by life itself. They look at your happiness, your success, your ability to move forward, and they feel like they're standing outside in the cold while you're inside a warm, beautiful house that they'll never be allowed to enter. 5 of Pentacles is about scarcity mindset and feeling like there's not enough love, success, happiness, or good things to go around. This person believes that your joy somehow diminishes the amount of joy available to them. Your peace means less peace for them. Your love for someone else means less love in the world for them to receive. This card is really showing me that this person's jealousy and hurt around you is connected to much deeper wounds around worthiness and belonging. They don't just want you back. They want to feel like they deserve good things, like they're worthy of love, like they have a place in this world where they can be happy and successful too. The Five of Pentacles often appears when someone is so focused on what they lack that they can't see the resources and opportunities that are actually available to them. This person is so fixated on the relationship with you that they had or thought they had or wanted to have, that they're completely blind to all the other sources of love, connection, growth, and fulfillment that are right there waiting for them to notice. This card is also about pride and the refusal to ask for help. This person might be suffering in silence, too proud to admit that they're struggling, too embarrassed to let their friends and family know how much this situation is affecting them. They're trying to handle all of this pain and obsession by themselves instead of reaching out for support, therapy, or guidance. But Five of Pentacles also carries a message of hope. The help, the warmth, the resources this person needs are available. They just have to be willing to look up from their own suffering long enough to see them. There are people who would love to support them through this healing process. There are opportunities for growth and new connections right in front of them. There are ways to build the life they actually want instead of staying fixated on the life they think they lost when you weren't available to them anymore. So, let me bring all of this together for you, Taurus, because this reading tells such a complete story of what's happening in this person's inner world. What I'm seeing is someone who genuinely loved you, but got lost in their own wounds and insecurities along the way. Their love got twisted into something possessive and unhealthy because they didn't have the emotional tools to love in a mature, secure way. Now that you're no longer available to them in the way they want, they're cycling through all these different stages of pain and denial and bargaining and anger. This person is at a major crossroads in their healing journey. The Judgment card showed me that they're being called to wake up, to see the truth of the situation, to take responsibility for their part in what happened. But instead of answering that call, they're choosing to stay stuck in patterns of thinking and feeling that keep them suffering. The Ten of Swords revealed that they've reached rock bottom in terms of their mental and emotional state around you. They feel completely defeated, but they're blaming that defeat on external circumstances instead of recognizing that they've defeated themselves with their own thoughts and choices. The moon showed me that they're living in a world of illusion and projection when it comes to you. They're not seeing you as you actually are. They're seeing you through the filter of their own pain and fear and unhealed wounds. This distorted perception is keeping them trapped in a reality that doesn't actually exist. The Magician revealed that they have all the tools they need to transform their life and heal from this situation, but they're using those tools to try to manipulate outcomes instead of doing the inner work that would actually set them free. They're focused on trying to change you or change the circumstances instead of changing themselves. Two of Wands showed me that they're stuck at a crossroads, unable to move forward because they're so fixated on the past. They can't envision a future that doesn't somehow involve you, which is keeping them paralyzed and unable to take action toward creating the life they actually want. Eight of Wands revealed the chaotic, frantic energy that's driving them right now. Their thoughts and emotions about you are moving at breakneck speed, changing constantly, never allowing them to find any peace or stability. They're living in a constant state of emotional emergency that's exhausting them and everyone around them. The Chariot showed me that they're trying to force control over a situation that requires surrender. They're approaching this like a battle to be won instead of a healing journey to be walked. Their warrior energy is misdirected toward fighting you instead of fighting for their own well-being. Ace of Cups reminded me that underneath all the dysfunction, this person's love for you was real and pure. But that love got corrupted by fear and insecurity and attachment. They're grieving not just the loss of you, but the loss of their ability to love simply and freely. Three of Swords confirmed that they're in deep heartbreak, but they're holding on to that heartbreak instead of allowing it to move through them and transform them. They've become addicted to their own pain because it's become their identity. And finally, Five of Pentacles showed me that this whole situation is really about their deeper wounds around worthiness and belonging. They don't just want you. They want to feel like they deserve good things, like they have a place in the world where they can be happy and loved and successful. The beautiful thing about this reading, Taurus, is that it shows this person isn't fundamentally bad or evil or irredeemable. They're just wounded and confused, and they don't know how to process these intense emotions in a healthy way. Every single card in this spread contains the seeds of healing and transformation if they were willing to do the work. But here's what you need to understand. None of this is your responsibility. You are not responsible for managing someone else's emotions, for healing someone else's wounds, for staying small so that others can feel comfortable with your growth. This person's jealousy, their hurt feelings, their inability to move forward, that's their work to do, not yours. What this reading is really showing me is that your growth, your happiness, your success is triggering this person's unhealed wounds, and that's actually a gift, even though it doesn't feel like one for them right now. You're serving as a mirror that's showing them everything they haven't dealt with in themselves. If they were wise, they would use this experience as a catalyst for their own transformation. But you can't make someone choose healing over staying stuck in their pain. You can't love someone into wholeness. You can't sacrifice your own joy to make someone else feel better about their lack of joy. All you can do is continue being your authentic self, continue growing and evolving, and creating the life that makes you happy, and trust that everyone around you is exactly where they need to be in their own journey. If this person ever finds the courage to do their inner work, to face their shadows, to take responsibility for their own healing, they might actually thank you someday for being the catalyst that forced them to confront parts of themselves they were avoiding. But until then, they're going to remain stuck in this cycle of hurt and jealousy and projection. My advice to you, sweet Taurus, is to send this person love from a distance and then turn your attention back to your own beautiful life. You don't need to feel guilty for thriving. You don't need to dim your light to make others more comfortable. You don't need to take on someone else's emotional baggage as if it belongs to you. Continue to trust your instincts about what's healthy for you. If staying connected to this person doesn't feel good, honor that feeling. If you need space to protect your peace, take that space without apology. If you're being pressured by mutual friends to give this person another chance or to feel sorry for them, remember that healthy boundaries are not cruel. They're necessary. The energy around this person is so intense and consuming that it could easily pull you back into their drama if you're not careful about protecting yourself. Don't let their inability to process their emotions in a healthy way become your problem to solve. Don't let their jealousy and hurt make you question your own worth or your own choices. You have every right to be happy. You have every right to grow and evolve and become the person you're meant to be. You have every right to choose relationships that add to your life instead of drain your energy. You have every right to protect your peace from people who would rather stay stuck in dysfunction than do the work to heal. This person's journey toward healing is between them and the universe. Your journey toward continued growth and happiness is between you and the universe. Don't let anyone convince you that these two journeys need to intersect in ways that compromise your well-being. The cards are showing me that this person has everything they need to transform this situation into the greatest healing opportunity of their life. They have the awareness, the tools, the support, the inner wisdom, everything except the willingness to stop focusing on you and start focusing on themselves. But that willingness has to come from within them. You can't give it to them, and you're not responsible for their lack of it. What you can do is live your life fully and authentically, knowing that your happiness is not contingent on anyone else's ability to be happy for you. Your success is not diminished by someone else's jealousy of it. Your love is not less valid because someone else couldn't receive it in a healthy way. Keep being the incredible person you are, Taurus. Keep growing, keep evolving, Keep creating the life that makes your soul sing. The right people will celebrate your journey with you, and the wrong people will eventually heal their way out of your orbit or heal their way into a healthier relationship with you. But either way, your job is to keep being authentically, unapologetically yourself. That's not selfish. That's sacred. That's how you honor the gifts the universe has given you. That's how you contribute to the healing of the world. I hope this reading has given you the clarity and validation you needed about this situation. Sometimes, understanding what's really going on behind the scenes can help us make better decisions about how to protect our energy and our peace of mind. Trust your instincts, beautiful Taurus. You know what's healthy for you better than anyone else does. Take what resonates from this reading and leave the rest. And remember, you are not responsible for healing anyone but yourself. Sending you so much love and light. Until next time.